So let's talk about Derrick Rose. Signed with the Detroit Pistons. Seemed like it was planned from the get-go. There was not much mulling about where Derrick Rose was going to end up. He ended up here pretty quickly. Can Derrick Rose be really good for the Pistons? Can the Pistons be really good for Derrick Rose? Yeah, potentially. If he's going to still make threes, then this team gets shooting, which they desperately need. Because we've seen for this team the past couple seasons, ever since they got Blake, it's basically if the wings are good, then they're not a bad team. And if the wings suck, then they kind of suck. Is Derrick Rose going to act as a wing? I don't know. I mean, definitely not all the time. So it's a matter of, is he going to play next to Reggie Jackson? Who's going to start over who? I mean, look, I'll be honest, I'm so down on Reggie Jackson that I'd be cool with Derrick Rose starting over him right now. And that's even with Reggie Jackson having a pretty okay end of the season a year ago. I just think that guy has put in so many mediocre years at this point. And he's also 29 years old, and at a certain point you are what you are. But of course, Derrick Rose did come kind of out of nowhere with that last season, right? However, something in my gut just tells me I think Derrick Rose can kind of continue that, like be a lot more efficient and from really everywhere. The shooting, the playmaking, all of it. I mean, the T-Wolves were a much better team when Derrick Rose played a year ago. Now, all that being said, I kind of feel like Reggie Jackson will start over Derrick Rose because D-Rose was a sixth man for the Wolves for most of the year. Reggie Jackson's been here. I feel like Derrick's injuries and all that have made the guy a little more okay with that sort of thing because he's probably got the mentality of like, hey, I'm here, you know? So it just seems like it's the easier road for him to play behind Reggie Jackson. But now, can they actually play together? I mean, if D-Rose can make his threes, then yeah, potentially, because I'm confident that Derrick can like beat guys off the dribble. And I actually think Reggie Jackson could play off the ball kind of okay because he just had his best three-point shooting season, and I don't think he's really had somebody to create shots for him like that, but who knows there. As far as Derrick's two-man game with Blake, I think there's a lot of promise there. If he's going to be able to make his pull-up jumpers, which he was pretty damn good at this previous season, he shot 44% on long twos, and even so, I mean, he was shooting that well, like, for that 1 year with the Knicks. So if he's going to make his shots when defenses go under the screen on him, then that could be really effective. Now, I guess that's still the one thing you would do because you're not going to trap a point guard when Blake is the screener, and you could switch, but I don't love the idea of a lot of points defending Blake. Now, if teams had wings defending Derrick, it'd be a little easier, of course, and you could argue that's kind of the way to go because you know, you can probably put a point guard on either Luke Kennard or whoever the hell the other Pistons wing is going to be, assuming Reggie and Derrick don't start together, and you might feel okay about it, but even so, I do think there's going to be an opportunity there to take advantage of some matchups with the D-Rose, Blake, pick and rolls, pick and pops, and all that. I also think it would be cool if we saw Blake on the elbow making passes for guys, and Derrick could take advantage of that. Also, if Blake gets his rebounds and then he takes the ball up himself, which he is, of course, capable of doing, we could get Derrick some transition opportunities that way, so that's cool. We could even see some Blake to Derrick to, like, Drummond alley-oops in transition, or the other way around. Drummond gets the rebound, and then Blake flies up floor. Now, you could see these things with Reggie Jackson as well, I get that, but it's another guy. That's another problem for this Pistons team. They haven't had enough guards who can really do something. You know, it was like Langston Galloway, who is Langston Galloway. Luke Kennard finally figured it out this previous season. And even then, he's not going to have the ball in his hands like that. I mean, he's got some ISO potential, but he's more of an off-ball kind of a dude, right? So, to just have somebody besides Blake Griffin who you can reliably run offense through with Derrick Rose now, that'll be really cool for the Pistons. As far as what their closing lineup is, I don't know right now. Again, it is going to come down to if Reggie and Derrick can play together. I think they're definitely going to see if that will work, and hopefully they do give that a decent amount of time. because there's a chance it could be a really dynamic offense with two dudes who can break down defenders and make some shots. Now, is there a fear of the size? Yeah. And defensively, I don't think this team projects to be amazing, but I think they can be good enough to be 15th defensively. And if everything goes well on offense, then they could be a pretty damn good team. I mean, I guess to go back to the closing lineup thing, if Derrick and Reggie can play together, then I guess it's Reggie, Derrick, Luke Kennard, Blake, Drummond. Those are 5 real NBA players. And Luke is not exactly small. And Derrick Rose, I mean, his wingspan is really high for his height. So defensively, they could hold up. I guess what could be really wild is if Dwayne Casey had minutes with Blake at center with the guards and the shooting and all that. I mean, I don't know if Blake could be center for a long-term thing, but sporadically I think that could be a pretty wild idea. Now, I guess an argument you could make is, why the hell didn't the Pistons just get as much shooting as possible and really have Blake just do everything? Because that was kind of the thing that worked out for them this previous season. So, yeah, in terms of conventional basketball team sense, I guess that would make sense, right? The idea of Reggie and Blake are the main 2 dudes on offense, and everybody kind of plays off of that. But to go back to crapping on Reggie Jackson, I just don't think he's good enough to do that. So I think you kind of needed to get another guard in here. And I don't know who else on the market could make a play off the dribble, make a jumper, and be as affordable as Derrick Rose was, you know? And if you look at it, I mean, if you want to be positive, Reggie Jackson, for as much as I don't care for the guy, was pretty damn good for at least like a month at some point last season that I don't remember. Blake had his best season in a long time. Drummond, he's still Drummond, but Luke Kennard was really good in the playoffs against the Bucks. So if everything can go right, like if Luke Kennard can finally be a, 17-point scorer, because you got to assume he's going to start, and he's tall, can make shots, and he can go off the dribble. Derrick Rose is going to continue what he did in Minnesota, and Blake is going to keep being Blake, and nobody's going to get hurt, which is definitely a fear right now. But if everything goes well, that's a pretty good team if you ask me. Definitely not a title contender, and maybe not even like a top 3 seed in the East. We'll have to see what Kawhi does, but it's an actual basketball team, and Detroit has been desperate for an actual basketball team. And they do have all their picks, so that does put them in the running for some kind of a trade, although I would suggest this team doesn't really trade their draft picks, but it's at least worth mentioning. So that's it. I am positive on Derrick Rose to the Pistons, and it's only like, $7 million a year, so it's like not even that big of a risk.